Alright, hello everybody, and we're doing a take 2 of Eve Station Trading, episode 44. The first take was plagued with technical difficulties, but Cap, thank you very much for sticking around. But we'll do it all over again. Hopefully we can actually get some more people in this time. We tend to actually get some more viewership like midway through the show anyway. But so we'll carry on as if we'll do a fresh restart because of the technical difficulties that were unfortunately out of the realm of my control. I brought the internet, but the program clients didn't work. So we'll start like we normally do, alright, with our calls from last week. We'll start off with a Pontifex. So command destroy. Maybe? Oh no, it's still bugged. Cheetah's bugged. Ah, the client's still so buggy. I guess not. Sorry. At least we have better. At least we have graphics now as we end. All right. Oh, maybe. It's so slow though. Like it's unfortunate. We may. You know what? I may have to make sure to do a backup or something, or just screenshots for in the future. What if I did this in the Eve Mogul thing? The Eve Mogul charting page. That'd be interesting. Cora says, should I combat site hunt or make some of those drone BPCs I got from the winter event? Which drone BPCs? If they're excavators, go for it. If they're not excavators, you might want to check the price. Oh man, what a bummer. Yeah, the game still. Okay, Pontifex. Okay, is that it? Yeah. Okay. All right, let's carry on here. So the Pontifex, it's still trending it's still trending downwards based on the 20-day moving average. However, it's actually quite narrow on the 5-day moving average for this item. If you were to buy it right now, we'd probably be in good shape to actually reap some pretty big rewards on this, assuming that this particular command destroyer is the one that gets used a lot. However, from what I've seen at least, when it comes to these command destroyers, for the most part, they're getting used for their ability to boosh things or boosh fleets around. It's not necessarily like this particular racial variant's better than the other. So there's that, right? But at the very least, you can know that at one point it was selling for up to 150 million. It may be a bit outlierish, but it is what it is. And now it's selling for about the 75 million range, so half the value. Can it reach those previous highs? Probably. The war engagements in Providence right now, they look pretty legit, and we'll get back to this again. This is gonna be a double take for Cap. Love you, man. You're sticking around the whole time. But it looks pretty real. The conflicts look real, and the engagements look real. The intent looks real. So I can maybe may not make it to that price point exactly, but it'll probably rise in price again because there will be genuine need for this type of ship. All right, the next thing we're gonna look at is the Ferox. This is where we were at before, right before the technical difficulties happened. So hopefully we can overcome that. Maybe. Oh no. That's unfortunate. Oh my goodness. Okay, I guess we can't really push forward. Okay, it is what it is. Oh, it's just a little slow. All right, so for the Ferox, it's in this pretty interesting position where it is getting a lot of fleet use. You wouldn't really know that based on looking at the charting, at least in Jita. So why is that? Why does Jita not reflect the just outright presence of a ship like the Ferox in fleet fights? It's because where the fights are happening, Providence, and we discussed this last week too. Local producers actually produce these. Local producers have no problem. Local miners, local producers have no problem cranking out Tech 1 products. So by Tech 1 product, we mean Tech 1 hulls. Caps technically is Tech 1, right? There's the added step of creating the capital components, but for the most part, they're Tech 1. They don't require moon reactions of any sort for their production line. So it's Tech 1, basically. So with that being said, it's unfortunate, but it is down, but if fights continue in Providence the way they are, and Feroxes are one of the mainline ships, along with Macarios and stuff like that, I wouldn't suggest playing off of the volume, but if you can actively import this into Provi or nearby low-sec systems to sell to those who want to invade Providence, I think there's opportunity. I think there may be opportunity there. Call One Piece. I doubt it's very efficient to transport Feroxes from Jita. Nope, it is not. I've had this discussion with some of my alliance mates before, where this is kind of a bit of the reality of it in economics and just how things are even in the real world. You can't have, so something can be available, something can be cheap, something can be of high quality. You can only have two of those three attributes. Either be available and of high quality, or cheap, but you can't have something that's really high quality and cheap at the same time, basically, right? Something has to give. There has to be some sort of compromise, right? Especially when it's coming from Jita. Could you import from Amar? How does the graph in Genesis look like, Cap? It's probably like super high, right? So something can be available. Something can be of high quality, but it's got to be expensive, or something can be of low quality and cheap. You just can't have all those attributes all roll into one, man. It's just not possible, especially since there's labor involved in all those steps. So I kind of messed up that analogy, but hopefully my meaning got through there. All right. I still think it's a buy because it is displaying the 5-day moving average is below the 20-day moving average. Hey, Felfast. I guess it's not too bad that we're starting kind of late. Half a Ferox a day, low volume, high price in Genesis. Yeah, makes sense. All right, what else did we call out last week? We called out multiple pilot training certificate. Called this as a buy. If you actually bought it last week, you would have been in good shape to actually resell it. Let's say, yeah, it would have been right here. Let's be generous and say we got it for 130 million and you were able to sell it for 137. Actually, that's not much. That's actually not much. Let's see, let's go back 7 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But you would have bounced off. You would, if you got it under 130, based on the Donchain channel, and sold it at 137, let's say 125. I think that's pretty reasonable. 125 to 137. %. That's not bad. 9% for something of that high price. That's actually not bad. Caps' big spike. I mean, about 10 days ago, no production match. Oh, really? Oh, wow. Genesis. Can't say I've been there in a while. So this would have been a pretty successful flip over the last 7 days if you actually bought into the MPTCs. Alright, that was all our buys from last week. Now we'll go over our sells from last week. We called that the Nightmare. It's still a sell. It was a sell for most of the week, actually. Hitting really close to its 90-day average, to its 90-day high, but then it's finally drawing back. I wonder if this was actually mostly as a result of, I think Test was using Nightmares. That and actually last week at least, I noticed that the price of the BPCs were just going up. But I don't know if that's actually a product of the price already going up, not necessarily the reason why the price was going up. So it's almost irrelevant, to be honest. So this would have been a good sell if you actually had them in stock. Alright, next one I'm going to look at is a rattlesnake. It's reached a new plateau. That's its new normal. That's really impressive. Volume hasn't changed, so I wonder if this... we're losing our rattlesnakes because we're getting invaded. I want a new rattlesnake. Could be right. I've definitely been seeing... I mean, that's not uncommon behavior. I mean, if you're ratting a rattlesnake, it doesn't take long for you to make that money back. Assuming you can... There's blocks of time where you can do it uninterrupted. Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Oh, I rat in a rattlesnake. I got ganked. I need another one. Buy another one. And then it reaches a new plateau. Alright. Next one. Caldari Navy Hookbill. So we called it as a sell. It dipped down, but it went right back up. Like, people really wanna. So what would have caused that? What would have caused that? People cashing out their LP, maybe. And then as soon as they saw that there was that much more profit on it, they picked it right back up. I mean, it's seeing genuine use. This is definitely not. Like, I never saw a Caldari Navy Hookbill spam even in low sec. I was like mine now, Tech 2 Able Master 4 on the Hookbill. I mean, you don't see a Hookbill spam in low sec. You saw a Comet. You would see a Comet spam before you would ever see a Hookbill spam. They're just that much better. Or actually, even yeah, definitely not. I mean, unless they're being used for other PvE events. I can't think of any right now that would be appropriate for a faction frigate, but. Alright, so those are all our calls from last week. We made it. Alright. Now we're going over some of the contracts I got a hold of this week. Start with this one. So that is an EVE appraisal of the first contract I'm going to review. This is basically a bunch of cap parts, as you can see. The cap parts were bought for 200. The contract was for 232 million, which I already got. And looking at the EVE appraisal, it's valued between 366 to 501 mil. That's a real steal, man. I'm very thankful that I got a hold of that contract. Yeah, I'm very thankful because it was actually like I didn't ask for it. It was like, here's a contract, Rodan. Interested? Why, yes I am. I sure as hell am very interested. Grabbed it up, put it in our production engineering complex, and ready to roll. I'm just gonna hold on to it and math out the rest that I need. That's quite the margin between buy and sell. It's a trick, all right, for one, because it's very low volume. It's a very low volume item, cap parts in general. Even in Jita, they're very low volume. So, like +1 or -1 off of daily volume is actually huge. it swings it. So don't get too caught up on. Just think of it as a guide. But for me, the real value, yes, you're gonna have to do a masterclass on contracts buying and selling for knuckle draggers. Here's I'm gonna finish my point and I'll tell you exactly like what the trick is. It's actually really simple. So the real value to me, oddly enough, it's actually not the it's cheap. These are cheap cap parts. No. They were literally 3 manual jumps away from where I build my caps. Bro. You know, well, because of the volume, I did have to do 2 jump freighter runs. But even though the cost of fuel is the convenience. Beautiful, man. Beautiful. I'll take that all day. Never looked at capital. Yeah, man. I was kind of that was the first. Yeah, false. That was the first time I was looking at like price comparison for cap components. It's like, oh man, it's huge. It's huge. It's like, but you have to think about it because of kind of like how the volume, because of the volume involved, and you know, I built caps in wormholes, mind you, before I actually built caps in nullsec, and building caps in wormholes, like the price is irrelevant. If you can somehow skip the material logistics involved with building capitals in wormholes, good to go. But to go back to Cap's thing there, you're gonna have to do a masterclass of contracts, buying, selling, etc. for knuckle dragon. A lot of it is letting people know that you're a willing buyer of those contracts. A lot of times, like I get offered these contracts not just from corp mates, alliance mates, and just general dudes in Provi, general player base at that. It's because I let them know that, hey man, a lot of people. I think the pool of people that play in contracts, I think you'll never really know, by virtue of there's no, at least in game, at least not that I know of, there's no way to track contract history in game as somebody bought this, somebody sold that in public contracts. I don't know if that's something you can ever pull from APIs, but a lot of people, once they're kind of like creatures of habit at that point, like, oh, this is how I do contracts and I've been successful so far, I'm just gonna keep doing it this way, and there's no reason for me to ever stop this until I fail at it somehow. Watch your mouth. Skip time, cost, labor, logistics. If you can get away, man, with not having to minimizing manual labor, I'm all for it. But you know, I mean, not everyone has, and I think it's really cool for us market types to actually kind of have platforms like these, because it's platforms like these that allow us to actually put it out there, like, hey, I'm interested in contracts. Hey, I buy this. Hey, I sell this. But that knowledge, it becomes more of a social game at that point. The only reason I think, well, or not the only reason, but one of the main reasons I think that I'm landing all these contracts is just people know that I'm looking for them. I think that's really one of the core things of the market game is it's not so much about the math, right? Because the math is simple. It's about knowing people, and that's it's a lost art for a lot of people. I think like the having to talk, having to communicate. A lot of people kind of just so caught up in tools, so caught up um, in methodologies that may have worked back in the day, but it'll only work with this tool set. Like a lot of people are so tool driven that they forget to just ask other players. Like, hey man, do you have stuff you want to sell? I'll buy it. Like simple stuff, right? So that I think that's really one of the and that's really one of my secrets, Cabs. Like I talk about market stuff and I act on the stuff I talk about. That really is it. And I talk to people all the time. I am literally I'm a hustler. I mean, that really is it. I'm I'm a hustler, man. I'm a hustler. I hustle for these contracts. Hustle, hustle, hustle. And people are more than willing to actually sell them to me because they know I'll pay. And they know I pay on time, all the time. In the end, it's a hustle. It's a hustle. It's a hustle. Hopefully that answers your question, and I mean that quite literally. Like that's really how I do it. You know, I let people know that I'm interested, and people kind of just they'll find you. They'll find you. If you have an open wallet, people will find you. Honestly. All right, so that's one of our biggest contracts we landed. We have several that we actually want to show you. This one's going to be for PI. This is, I think, for one of our Alliance or Corp mates. Rated pocket. I actually didn't mean to jump freight this, just a couple of trips of my Prowler. Not a whole lot, not a big value on that, but it's still catching it at buy. That was this one. That was one of the cool contracts actually. Like it was an open contract, and then I just Eve mailed back like, hey man, this is the Eve appraisal for it based on Ammar Trade Hub. I'm willing to pay you the buy price, and the other party was willing to accommodate that, and we made the deal. That's it. Talk your way to the deal. So I bought it for 162, and it's valued at 177. Actually, let's check that out. 9%. That's not bad. That's not bad. I'll take that. As long as I can clear 5%, I know I'm making a little bit more over fuel cost, because I still get I bought a ton of fuel while it was still cheap. A ton. Thank God. Yeah, I was like, yeah, the dean of my college has bought into the sales force and doesn't understand why I think he wasted the money. What do you mean by sales force? All right, so next contract, general loot. I've been seeing, so we have two general loot contracts. I've been seeing a lot of these. You know, I saw more of them while I was, I was on holiday like a lot of other people, and I was able. Most of these contracts I actually caught, luckily enough, just during what would be EU Prime, right? As a USTZ player, that's basically like my midday. Sounds like finance recruitment scheme, Salesforce. Yeah, I guess so, huh? So that's that EVO appraisal. Just general loot. General loot. I bought the contract cost 220 mil, but based on that EVO appraisal, the EVO appraisal is actually super accurate, even for Amar. Valued between 340 to 461 mil. So let's check that out. That's pretty big. If I'm not mistaken, this is one that had like cap parts in it, or not cap, but cap modules in it. Let's just bounce off the buy. 340. 54% markup. It's pretty good. 54% more value. Or is it the cloud service company which pops up on Google? Pops up first on Google. Guys, like latest greatest business: how to sell bullshit. Selling bullshit is difficult, man. Selling bullshit is difficult. But yeah, I mean that's a high value contract right there. And another one. This is gonna be our last contract that we'll show you guys. Actually, it's the last one I got in my contract history. Holy's right out of my contract history. For Rodan. This one's not nearly as valuable as the previous one. It's basically loot. Ludwig's like, glad I bought a load of bullshit when it was still cheap. It's nothing worse than getting caught up with expensive bullshit, though, right? For that last EVE appraisal there, guys, that was just general loot, bought for 200 mil, and the EVE appraisal value comes down to 232 to between 232 and 399 mil. So let's check that out. 232. 16%, that's pretty good. That's it's more than enough to cover fuel, thank God. That fuel price, man. Alright, so Cap, just do you have a usable alt in Provi? So you can see the same thing, bro. You can see the same thing. I'm not sure what I imagine that what happens. Maybe I'm a bit skewed when I look at it in a kind of skewed way, but I imagine Providence, for as much shit as it gets, is actually a very fun and active nullsec region versus other regions that are straight up dead. So maybe it is kind of unique to be able to do this kind of contract work in Provi. I don't know. Yeah, you guys can tell me. Ludwig's like, I wanted to get into EVE trading around 10 years ago. Holy shit. Then I realized I was a wonderful combination of both too lazy and too stupid. Use that. You can use that though. You can use because then you're basically the model customer. If you can use that kind of self-awareness of what the model customer is, then you can use that to your advantage to make profit. Cap strike, Salesforce, Psychobabble sucks. Yeah, it does, man. Yeah, so I'm really curious to see, is the Provi contract market unique? I mean, I imagine it is, because if a nullsec region is quite bare, but the ratting and the mining is a lot more profitable than Provi, but the active market isn't. It's just a different spectrum of the Indian market game, right? It's like I do. He's the bar probably drinking my meager profit. So I would say not just the trade channels in game, but also the trade channels in Slack would be a good source, Cap, for your for visibility of contracts. All right. Next one is I just want to do a quick kind of reporting here. So over the weekend, I was we're pretty deep in the engagements with PL. PL dropped some like basically dotted the landscape with Astras that are I guess their intent is for them to be centerpieces for conflict, for content. And we were, or at least for me, from my end, being a good citizen and actually trying to get some Griffins, like stock up my corp hanger with Griffins. And strangest thing, so at least that's not the case right now. So don't even go nuts. All right. On Sunday, Ammar Trade Hub itself was out of Griffins. On Sunday, Ammar Market Hub, the second largest in the game, at least or the second largest in high sec. I'm not sure what Dev looks like, Second largest in high sec. Was out of Griffins. Let that sink in for a second. Cap's like, I got a Discord you put out, but they all moving high volume, high price, a little too rich at the moment. Yeah, those I don't even, I can't even play at that level either. I can't, man. I mean, I snipe contracts and stuff while I'm in game. So that's really the bulk of my in-game activities. Not a lot of people are into it. It's easy to snipe it. So there was a definite shortage of Griffins. So it's one of those like I think this is the point of the story. This is the part of the story where I go, I think it is a war. It's not just we're just farming content. I think they really want to like take our stuff. I think PL players PL really wants to take our stuff, and by stuff I mean plenty of our stations, which will become faction fortizars basically. But you gotta start early with those things. You gotta drop the ADMs. You have to make it a little easier to actually grind out the structures and whatnot. So. Like I heard right up in my PVOs. I mean, even right now, it's not that well stocked. Like Amar is experiencing an immediate demand on most things, and it can't keep up. So if you operate in Amar or can contribute to the Ammar market, please review it and look at the volume of things. Like it's I imagine there's going to be at least one one common item that's going to be completely non-existent in Ammar Market Hub this weekend. There's not a lot of volume going through Ammar, right? At least not a lot of volume that sticks around. It may just get bought up really, really quickly. I mean, in a war situation, like price almost doesn't matter. Convenience and time matters more. So, they can be like me where I'm going, oh, there's a fit, buy all, times 100. That's probably the behavior that's actually happening, right? That's why it's just disappearing. It's disappearing from the market because it's not like orders going into buy and then being resold. Like no, people are just straight up buying stuff. So if you please review Ammar Market, there maybe there's a niche there where you can fulfill. Felfoss says, I was planning to start producing Tech 2 and Provi in our pocket. Good. Please, please do. Please do. Hopefully they don't take the outpost away. So no one really knows for sure when that switch will happen, right? But if PL's already knocking on our door, and they're applying really good pressure for one. At least for I do not have the high command picture. Let's start off with that. I do not have the high command picture. I'm just like, oh, like Rodan does a market show and shit, so I guess he kind of knows stuff. Kind of picture. I'm impersonating my alliance mates there. I love you guys. So, and for the longest time, I didn't want to call it a war because it didn't seem like PL was committing. But over the weekend, they felt pretty committed. Or I perceived them to be very committed into taking this stuff. Something would happen, they would form up. Something would happen again, they would form up. More often than not, like, I kind of feel bad for PL. Like, I'd hate to be forming up for nothing. And they were forming up for nothing a lot, unfortunately. Like, it sucks to be them. I have a few friends that are in PL. I was like, dude, sorry, dude. sorry, man. Sorry, man. I apologize that you're actually not. We're just making you form up. Sorry. Catastrophe not too far. Genesis and Marcy, but hey, I'm checking the map as we speak. Yeah, check it out, Cap. Like, Griffins were low. Like, common Tech 2 cruiser size modules were low. Like prop mods, tank items. Check out tank items. Hey, login issue. What's up? Who do I fly with? I fly with UI Federation Alliance, and I am in the Valkyrie Knights Corp. Felfa says the faction citadels were announced for summer, so that's still quite a ways away. It is. But until there's a definitive date, it can be earlier too, though, can it? A little tinfoil. I just threw like a tinfoil hat out there. Maybe somebody can pick it up. Because it's a very telegraphic move. To like, oh, this is just me potentially talking with a tinfoil hat on. But big entity, so a known change is happening that may be profitable. Large entity comes in to take advantage of known change that's incoming. Sounds right. Sounds right. So that's just my 2 cents on it. I have no actual hard sources that are reliable in any way, shape, or form. That's just me just talking out loud. Talking and thinking out loud. Take that as you will. But that's what it looks like to me. Even from a common person, that's what it looks like. Guess I got shitloads of 8 and 16 plate friggin' station. 8s and 16s? I can't recall any doctrine or anything that actually uses plates right now. None that we actively use. Are we blue with CVA? Yes, we are blue with CVA. UI Federation is blue with CVA. They've been living in the pocket for, I think, at least 7 years, at least. And one other thing I actually want to go over with you guys. So along that same, so what happened with Amar over the weekend? So like things just like common stuff just gone, right? Do you see that in your NOSEC regional hub? And when that does happen, I imagine it does happen every now and again. When that does happen, is that good? Is that bad? Is that something we need to seek to avoid? What do you guys take on that? All of Provi is blue with each other. Yeah, pretty much. If you own space within Provi, there's a really good chance that you're probably blue with everybody. That definitely helps with, especially when you're accessing the jump bridge network and things like that. Login says, I think Test is doing mini deployments because PL is showing interest there. Yeah, true. And I don't know much what that's going on with Test, but if you're nearby and there's action, yeah, why not join the action? Why not join the fun? Otherwise, you're kind of depriving your membership of potential content, right? That kind of sucks. I definitely saw that with I see shortages like that in Providence for almost always never Tech 1 hulls. Like our local producers, our local miners our local builders can keep up with Tech 1 demand all the way into caps. From what I can tell, at least in contracts. I think tests are coming because majority test is fuck PO. That sounds right. That sounds about right. That sounds right. Gas like depends on the manufacturing time. What can I produce in X hours? Mats are never a problem. Yeah, for Tech 1, no, not really. So if you want to play in the regional market in Providence, just be aware that the local producers, the local miners, will outpace you. They will straight up outpace you for Tech 1 hulls and capitals. So much so to the point where you're like, where's the profit? Where's the profit in this? There isn't. Like me personally, I get out of their way. I get out of their way because it sucks to say, but these guys literally have. It's the I mine minerals. It's the minerals I mine are free crowd. That's really what it is. It sucks to say that. That's kind of demeaning, but that's my observation. They mine it. They don't value their labor, the labor that went into mining it, and they sell it so competitively that if you were to compare those prices back in Empire, that it's that's not even paying for the cost. You know what I mean? It's a net loss. But these guys don't see it as net loss because they just don't. They don't see it as net loss. Their labor is so undervalued. Login issue. Yeah, I see Tess is claiming a small pocket close to Nosek. Or PL is not. Yes, that's correct. So if you can imagine, this makes total sense, right? Because Providence has direct connections to high sec, direct connections to low sec. All right, it's kind of like the front line, right? And there's basically PL and friends all around those areas, all those border areas, and it's not like it's like super top secret. I mean, it makes sense that it ends up like that, right? I was like, here we go again. You know, and I'm glad that. I mean, I'm not mad at them. If they find that enjoyable and they find if they see the value in contributing to the coalition in that manner, good for them. It's just that I'm gonna get out of their way. I'm gonna get out of their way because I'm seeking profits. I must get out of their way because. And for any of you guys that think you can I don't know how you could ever compete with the local producers in that arena. I don't think you can. I don't think you can. Because they'll just they will outcompete you in price. Because there's just like an RP element to it, right? They're like, "Oh, I'm helping the coalition." Even though I basically am just giving up money, but I'm still helping the coalition. It's okay because if I do this, I contribute to the efforts that relate to me keeping my space. There's value there. Log of these, lol. Running a work is so easy and you get so much ore. Making Tech 1 hulls so fucking easy. I personally have never flown a Rorqual in, the mining Rorqual. I used to fly Rorqual as the booster Rorqual. Just have it sitting in the pause. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if it actually is easier. I don't know. That's the view in if you're a Tech 2 guy or an active jump freighter guy that can bring in Tech 2 ships, Tech 2 hulls, I think you can have a profitable time in Provi. I honestly think you can have a profitable time in Provi. There's not a lot of people because you can't build that stuff inherently in the region. You have to import, right? You have to import the moon materials. So that's the one thing. Like I don't even import right now. Actually, I provide more of the jump freighter service than I actually do the importing part. I don't import and place to market. I haul for you and get paid. That's what I do. I actually don't get paid that much. It's more like a public service. Login issue. Mining work wall is busted. Should take to Indie Core, find your Ferox, leave that capital rep running, and go do your chores of the day. Come back to your med fleet sitting there trying to break you. Just ping light sign, don't keep mining. That definitely does not sound like a Providence story. Does not sound like a Providence story at all. Sounds more like a Delve story. Which I'm not hating, man. If you work to get there, you should reap the rewards. It's my thing. And alright, cool. That's all I wanted to add. Now let's go over to our buys for the week. I was like, I was playing the game that's turn it on and whack off my. But we say that, Cap, but from a mechanical standpoint, that's a lot of things in Eve, right? It's one of those leave it and forget it. I wish it wasn't like that. It just is, though. It sucks. Felfa says, is there not enough moon mining going on in Provi, or are there bottlenecks of stuff that isn't found there? I cannot intelligently answer that based on the market window. I cannot. That stuff just simply doesn't make it to the market window. To the market yet. People are still holding on to that stuff and doing in-house production with it. Which probably should be the right thing to do. I think the patch notes said something about regional distribution. Yeah, I'm sure that I think for the most part it's everyone's on hoarding mode. Because I wouldn't want to put that on market when I can use it locally to help fuel my, say, potential Tech 2 production line, right? So that guy's just like, yeah, you're right. It's definitely a dumb story, right? You got, like, 4 rocks in the belt, making so much this investment seems so worth it, even though it was like a 90 bill investment. Yeah, it's totally worth it. I mean, I had operators that actually asked our investors for ISK to start Rorqual operations. Most were successful, and they were able to turn back the money like really quickly. I mean, the investment is steep. Yeah. I mean, if you can stay safe just long enough to pay everybody back, and then they'll give you the experience to be safer longer. Yeah, why not? Felfa said, "Yeah, no, that moon market is pretty dead. I hope I can get miners to sell to me." You're gonna have to talk it up with people, man, and then just hustle. You have to hustle out that moon ore out of people's hands. You have to hustle. Because people are, it makes sense. It's a new item, do local production. That's a very natural behavior, right? And the stuff we see in market is the excess for the most part, right? That's the excess. So, all right. So I'm gonna start off with our buys of the week. I'm gonna start off. We've actually never called these are boosters. All right, the anti-pharmacon. Let's start with the Koisobo. Anti-pharmacon Koisobo. Alright, so the anti-pharmacon Koisobo, what this does, this gives plus 8% armor repair boost. Plus 8% armor repair bonus. It's pretty good, it's pretty strong. So before we get started with the chart, let's look at some fundamental analysis on this. So what the heck is this item? So this item, if the naming scheme starts with anti-pharmacon, that is a booster. That's a reward from the Project Discovery Human Protein Atlas. Now that event has now been discontinued. So as far as we know, short of people's personal hordes of these, they no longer enter the game. All right. So what was farmed during the event? That's it. So that's a fundamental analysis. It's kind of like the geckos, but the geckos, for some reason, they still are in the game. I don't know how they're getting into the game, man. I just don't know. But so that's kind of the same thing with these anti-pharmacons. At least a method that I know of. I don't know how they're getting in here. Caps like login issue. Yeah, that kills more alpha and omega accounts than getting coded, getting richer and richer without putting in any effort. Yeah, I agree with that. That's why, we play games to be challenged. We play games because it's very human to want to be challenged. It's very human to be faced with obstacles and then have an opportunity to overcome it. That's so human. And this is, in our day and age, this is how that's how we get that experience, right? Because it's not like we're all gonna go out there as a tribe and hunt down like dragons and shit. We're not gonna do that. Not enough dragons. Alright, so this gives plus 8% armor repair bonus. Kind of like with everything else, you know, there was a big buy-up of all these things, like, you know, 3 weeks ago, and now it's correcting itself. Given that no more of these items are entering the game, whatever gets consumed is simply not going to get replaced, short of coming out of people's personal inventories. I'm not sure how low this is going to get. Definitely an observe, because I don't have a lot of experience with this item. So observe this to a point to where you think it's gonna start to kick back up. Just to let you guys know, like, I'm not sure if this is a common item in people's doctrines, but for the most part, you know, we don't really talk too much about boosters. That kind of becomes a question of, yeah, you can bring something you want to. If you're interested, use this one. I've gotten these recommended to me before, so there will be some value there. Is it a buy? Definitely a soft call, because I don't have enough intimate knowledge of this item. I just never traded it, but I'd definitely be watching it from this point onward, especially as a booster. Boosters are, I think, very underrated as consumables, because there's never really such a high demand on them that the producers can't keep up. But now that all that stuff's bound to the refineries now, that may not actually be the case anymore. So we'll see. So that's what the picture for anti-pharmacon Cosibos. I'm going to look at is anti-pharmacon Thurios. Hello. There we are. On the same picture, but a little bit more, a lot wider dungeon channel through about 3 weeks ago. Same thing, but instead of armor, the Thurio actually gives you shield bonus. So a shield boost bonus of 8%. It's pretty good. Considering the price too, that's not bad. Definitely an observe. I would probably be more serious about considering buys on these once the dungeon channel becomes more narrow. Until that point, it's kind of anybody's game. But if at least maybe you can be more mindful if you start seeing this item as being, hey, make sure you guys have this loaded in your cargo hold and use it as your drug before we roll out for fleet. Something like that, right? Alright, next one I'm going to look at is Interceptors. The entire category of Interceptors. Hopefully the market window will cooperate. If not, we can look at, what's a good one to look at? Let's look at Ares. I believe in you. Come on. Oh, Jeronica, you didn't miss it. I had a lot of technical difficulties, and I'm still experiencing them. Pushing forward. Alright, waiting on this to come up. I can talk about it though, because I actually looked at it before. Let's see. So as it's coming up there. Oh no, totally lost the stream, maybe. Alright, but the Ares picture, not sure if the picture will come back up. But basically, what you'll see is pretty big demand 2-3 weeks ago, but then it's recovering. But I think there's value in getting a good picture of the combat scepters. So that's the Ares, that's the Claw, that's the Raptor. I forget what the Ammar variant is, but not the travel fit scepter deals, but the ones that actually fight back. All right, not the tackle scepters, the combat ones. Why are they important? They're a good counter, or they're a good fleet to use in soft warfare, especially when you get to the point where nodes are being run, nodes are being intosised. Especially with multiple nodes and large constellations, you need a fleet that can move around quite quickly, and interceptors are really good for that. All right, so that's why we use them. It's a shame we can't see the thing, but I can at least just continue to talk about it. All right, so please consider looking at those items. As far as where are they at a point right now where it's low enough to pick them up almost immediately? Probably not. The dodging channel actually is still pretty wide on them. So just wait until it starts getting more narrow and it starts. Think of a more narrow dodging channel as like you want it narrow because it wants to go. It's more intent in getting into one price trend, one way or another. If it's too wide, it's kind of just all over the place. It's just the trading channel at that point. Oh, there you go. Finally got it. So it was high all this time. Then bloop, corrected, and now it's on its way back up. So this is just an example. I know we're having a hard time picking up all these. The game is struggling right now. The client itself is struggling. Not so much the user's internet, my internet, but it's just the game. So, and that's why I'm saying that it's probably a good observe. But the Ares actually is unlike the other Interceptor technical analysis reviews right now because it's actually the one that's most likely to actually reverse from its low trend. The others, it looks like they're still kind of in free fall. Login says, well, Harvey Fleet is coming back for that as well. What? Get out of... Dude, Harpies. Harpies are good, man. I have a lot of fond memories soloing in a Harpy. Definitely. Alright, so what else we got next? The next one I'm going to look at, guys, is our cells now. We're going to look at our cells. So I'm going to start with the Excavator mining drones. Might be a delay on the graphics here, but I can at least talk about it. The Excavator mining drones basically looks like the 20-day moving average is it's not well above, but it's trending beyond, it's trending above the 5-day moving average pretty consistently for the last month or so. That's probably right around the same time that we last called Excavator mining drones. But I think what's happening with those Excavator mining drones is basically, so what would prompt you to buy more Excavator mining drones? Losing Excavator mining drones could probably prompt you to buy new ones, all right? Losing your roar qual and your mining drones could probably prompt you to get new ones, right? So I think it's this is genuine destruction of the Excavator mining drones that's prompting the increase in value on them through sell action. So that's good. At least I think that's what's happening. Oh, great, it's gone. So about the last 3 weeks or so, this is probably the last time we called it. And this has been steadily going up. 5-day moving average above the 20-day moving average. There you go. Johnny was like, yes, sell the excavators, lower the price. No, we can't lower the price, man. We can't. It's because people are losing them. People are haphazardly losing them. And they want them replaced. And they want them replaced right now. Right now. That's why the price has been jacked up like that. I don't fly a roar call, but when one of your drones costs over 125 million, that doesn't sound right to me. That for real doesn't sound right. There's been Felfa says there's been a hunting campaign in Delve. Well, there you go. So Excavator mine drones being destroyed, and folks who had them want to replace them. There it is. Thanks for corroborating that, Felfast. If you're doing their work in order to, is it so? So not necessarily the work walls, but just the mining drones. Contents one. I mean, I get it. I mean, that's the most expensive part of the work wall, right? So, like, the ship itself actually isn't even that expensive. It's like it's a regular carrier. It's a regular, carrier price, right? Right around there, I imagine. I mean, the value is in the excavators. That's what I would think, at least. All right, so that's a story. So thank you for corroborating. I really appreciate that. Next one I'm going to look at, guys, is the Strong Frentics Booster. All right, so it's just people just bought them all up. People just bought them all up, and it's plateaued on the really high end here. So if you have a stash of this and you don't intend to use it, I would sell it like literally like right now. You may lose out on the ability to sell it at its near historic high. Because looking at the the game's really slow right now, so I don't even want to risk it. But basically, if you were to look at the price of the requisite materials needed to actually make the Strong Frentics boosters, the pricing actually hasn't moved. So all of this is through. So this price action is really good chance, 100% just straight up from sell action. So if you have a stash of this somewhere and you don't intend to use it, like, please sell it right now. I think it's got nowhere to go but down from here as a result of this very drastic price increase. The sentiment of it, the sentiment related to Strong Frentics boosters making it valued so highly is probably not sustainable. So if you have it, please sell it. And you don't intend to use it, please sell it. And the last one I'm going to look at, Proteus. It's a shame that the client's super slow right now, but let's look at the Proteus picture real quick, and I'll tell you how it compares to the other T3Cs. Okay, so unlike the picture that you are seeing right now for the Proteus, the other T3Cs are actually quite flat. All right, they're not as wild as the Proteus right now. So right now the Proteus is I'm not even gonna. That's so I'm not even gonna. It's pretty close to the 90-day high right now. Pretty sustained fashion from a volume perspective. So with that being, so there's genuine demand for the Proteus. Like, people use it for fleets. People like, I'm pretty sure we actually use T3Cs this weekend, and I'm pretty sure they were predominantly Proteus. I'm pretty sure of it. Because they're good ships, man. They're just good ships. In a PvP sense, they're good ships. They're good ships. Same thing can be said about the Lokis, to be honest. We have a couple of campers that use Lokis almost exclusively, and they're so oppressive. So it speaks of the actual combat worthiness of the ship, right? Is this a sustainable price increase? If the fights continue the way they are, it should be pretty sustainable. As a builder, if you have a stockpile of the materials needed to build these, now may be the time to actually like activate the production line, to be absolutely honest with you. If you have a stock of the materials anyway, now might be a good time to actually cash out. Alright, so that's the last thing that we have to actually discuss. Thank you very much for everyone that's actually stuck around, especially through our technical difficulties. Thanks. Very much appreciated, Cap, keeping the conversations alive there. But I think given that, we pushed forward with the show. I think we pushed out some really good information out there, got some good stuff out there. And hopefully I'll be able to continue to report these things to you guys as far as being a market-minded person in the middle of a war. It's a really interesting perspective. And hopefully things do escalate, because I don't think we've had a market representative actually be there, kind of literally in the front lines, reporting on that aspect of the game during a conflict. So I really think there's value in that. And with that being said, I know we've been getting a lot of between Twitch and the Eve client, kind of a lot of technical difficulties. So we'll cut it right here. Of course, this will still make it to YouTube. All right, at least our retake will make it to YouTube, and hopefully it'll be a better presentation then. All right, but hey, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, Cap, especially for sticking around and keeping the conversations going. And this will be up on YouTube by tomorrow. And with that being said, I don't have any expectations of next week, to be honest with you, because I've actually never been actively in a conflict like this as a market person, and simultaneously a line member trying to just participate in fleets, right? But hopefully it's active. It remains active, and we'll see what happens. It's all new stuff for me, to be honest with you. I was like, I learned y'all rich bastards that come to revolution. We'll see, man. We'll see. Login issue. I totally agree. Provi is about to get in some knee-deep stuff with PL. Yeah, totally agree. So the market picture that gets created because of that pressure is going to be really interesting. All right. But hey, thank you very much, guys. Thanks for being here, and we'll see everyone next week. Thanks.